What is going on, Nuggets Nation, NBA fans? I am Tom Leuthner. Welcome back into Nuggets Today. We have some things to cover. There are a lot more updates as the finals are coming to the midway, closer to the closing. And the first thing we have to cover here is the Russell Westbrook update. So we do have a Russell Westbrook update. If you look at the betting favorites when it comes to landing players, the Miami Heat are now the favorites to land Russell Westbrook. Obviously, there's a lot of talk around the Heat and the Suns making a trade for Kevin Durant. It seemed that they're hesitant to throw in Khalil Ware, so maybe that trade doesn't go through. But they are the betting favorites to land Russ. But according to Mark Stein, when free agency begins, a return for Russ is likely for Denver. It's believed that when he declined his option, he would look at the increase in salary cap in the league, and he may be able to make more on a vet minimum for Denver next year rather than taking his player option. So that's a great sign. Like I've been saying, I think that Denver needs to target backup point guards. I think that Trey and Tyus Jones are both great options for Denver. But at the same time, I would love Russell Westbrook on Denver. Now, I've been seeing more comments and more talk in the community that Russ may not want to play under David Adelman, especially because Adelman wants to slow the pace down when it comes to how they play next year. And Russ is not a slower pace point guard. He's a fast paced point guard who wants to go, he wants to drive, and he wants to run in transition. So that may be a little bit of a factor on why he declined his option if he is going to leave. Like I said, he may not be leaving. But Denver can't figure that out until they have a GM, which they still don't have when I recorded this episode. If you can, go sign a GM already. We already know that it may be a guy who's in the system already. So why not go ahead? Why not sign somebody? Why not bring in a legitimate GM so we can figure out what we're doing and what we're looking for as fans? Because right now we can't figure anything out because nothing's happening. We hear all these reports and we see all these signs and all these posts about what Denver's going to do, what they're going to look at, who they're going to target. But at the same time, I know that Ben Tenzer is the guy who's helping Josh Kroenke look at draft targets and people who they want to work out and potential free agents, but nobody wants to trade with Denver right now. Nobody wants to go out and look at who to sign because there's nobody to actually do it. So I think Denver needs to, first of all, bring in a GM. Second of all, look to go get Russ back on the veteran minimum if that's what he's going to do. I know that there's a chance that he could start on some other teams in the NBA, which is actually pretty scary to say because he was a backup point guard last year. But at the same time, if he's able to come back on a minimum, even if it is more than his player option, bring him back. He was a huge part of Denver's bench last year, and I think he could be a huge part of it again this year if they go out and get two more guys, which has to do with a GM coming in. But talking about things that GMs are going to do, there's the Trey Murphy sweepstakes. And we've seen a massive trade in the NBA recently. That's Desmond Bane getting traded. And there was three unprotected firsts and a first round pick for this year, which I believe is either pick 15, 16, around that range, 14, 15, 16, around that range. And he got sent over to the East to Orlando. Now, I think that that's a great trade for both sides. I think that the Grizzlies brought in one vet and one player on the younger side who are going to help them out, and they brought in 4 picks. So now you look at what's going to happen with Trey Murphy, and the report came out that the Pels are looking for 3 things in the Trey Murphy trade package. One is a vet who can help them win. The second is a younger player who is promising and can develop, who is a potential star. And the third is multiple picks. Now, Denver cannot give up multiple picks because they only have 1 pick that's tradable right now. So Denver's probably not in that sweepstakes anymore. Like I said, there are some players on the Pelicans who I would love in Denver. Herb Jones is one of them. Kelly Olynyk is another one. If you're able to go out and get 1 or 2 of those guys for people like Zeke Naji, Hunter Tyson, Jalen Pickett, if you want to move on from Strother and Watson, fine. I don't think you should. But if you're able to go out and get 2 of those guys or 1 of those guys and keep majority of your bench around, go ahead and do so. But like I said, there are no GMs to come in and make those moves because Denver still has yet to name a GM. Please name a GM because we need some moves done for Denver because I'm not ready to run it back as a fan and watch the exact same team go out with Deron Holmes, who may be better, but we saw it. Denver was 2 players away from the finals again. 2 bench players, a backup center, and 1 guy on the bench who's a legitimate shooter, who I thought Julian Strother should have been and was for at least 1 game, who didn't play much. Denver is legitimately 2 moves away, if we're running it back with the same 5, if we're healthy, to win a finals. So please go get a GM who can make any kind of move. Any kind of move. Anyway, Denver did work out 4 players, and I know there's no draft picks this year, but there are some players who are probably going to go undrafted, and there's talks about Denver trading back into the draft. And those 4 players were Arizona guard Caleb Love, Kansas center Hunter Dickinson, Bradley forward Darius Hannah, and Indiana center I believe it's Omar, but it's spelled Umar. I believe it's Omar Ballo. So I mean, again, like, you look at their last seasons, right? Caleb Love, he's a 6'4" point guard. Last year, he averaged 17.2 points, 4.4 rebounds, 3.4 assists. I think that Denver is attempting to settle for what they're able to if Russ does leave. You look at what Love was able to do. He shot 39% from the field, but he shot 34% from 3. Not terrible. I mean, again, he was putting up a good amount of points. I mean, his assist numbers were decent, 3.4 assists. It's not great. Denver sort of needs a facilitator, but if we could get a guy who can come in and score, why not go ahead and do so? I think my favorite, and again, shout out my friend Frank. Him and I have been talking about these prospects, if they're good. He's not a fan of Hunter Dickinson, but I'm looking into Hunter Dickinson's profile. He's on some sites he's listed at 7'1", some sites he's listed at 7'2". There's probably better options out there, but he averaged 17.4 points per game, 10 rebounds, 2.1 assists. I mean, again, as a backup center, you're shooting 52% from the field. In the almost 2 attempts he was shooting from 3, shot 27%. In Michigan 2 years ago, he shot 42% in 2 attempts from 3. So if you're able to go out and get him as a backup and actually play him, then go ahead and do so. If he's going to be cheap and you're actually going to play him, go ahead and do so because, again, he seems like a good option. Darius Hannah, a guy who averaged 12.4 points, 5.9 rebounds, 1.4 assists. He's a 6'8" forward. Looking at his splits, I mean, he shot 58% from the field. He shot 36% from 3, which is NBA league average on 2 attempts per game. Why not? Why not go out? Again, these guys are going to be cheap. They're going to be guys who can give you legitimate minutes if you think that they're good enough, if you're actually going to work them out. But I also don't see the point in going to get guys unless you're going to actually play them because you have Trey Alexander, you have Hunter Tyson, you have Jalen Pickett, you have Zeke Naji. These are all young players. I'm not saying that they deserve shots. You have PJ Hall. I mean, maybe they don't deserve the shot, but then don't go out and sign more guys who are younger who aren't going to play. The last guy is, I believe it's Omar Ballo. He averaged 13 points, 9 rebounds, 2 assists, 7-foot center. You look at his splits, he shot 62% from the field on 8 attempts per game. Didn't shoot any threes, which I'm fine with. Averaged 1.3 blocks, a steal per game. I mean, again, could be a good option. You look at him, he's a big body. He's going to play down low. He's 260 pounds, 7 foot 260. You want somebody who's going to give you minutes that's not Zeke Naji? Then go out and get Ballo. Like I said, he is 7 foot 260 pounds. Jokic is a force, right? If Jokic is playing the 4 and you have a 7 foot 260 pound center, Jokic can work with that, I think. I'm not opposed to have Jokic play the 4 and move everybody up and have Brown come off the bench. I know it's tougher because MPJ might be playing the 2, but again, I'm fine with the idea of Jokic playing power forward. I mean, Ballo might not come out and be this phenomenal, center, and he's probably going to be undrafted or he's going to be in the late picks of the draft. But we've seen centers who are coming in, recent players rather, who are coming in from the second round and actually being forces. So again, like I said, if Denver's going to come out and attempt to get guys, make sure you're going to play them because I am so tired of seeing guys come on this team, younger players who aren't going to get any opportunity. This last topic for today are 2 players who, after that trade, looking like the Magic are going to move on from 2 guys, and those 2 guys are going to be option players, which are former Denver Nugget Gary Harris and Mo Wagner. So I'm looking at it, and I looked at Gary Harris's stats, right? And I remember with Denver, he was a little bit of a force. He was a 3-and-D player. He was actually pretty good. Denver moved him for Aaron Gordon, which was phenomenal because Aaron Gordon was way better than he was. He fell off a cliff. And last season, three points per game, 1.3 rebounds, 0.6 assists, 15 minutes per game, shot 38% from the field, 35% from three. But the other player I said there, Mo Wagner, I know he bad injury, took him out for the rest of the season. 13 points, 5 rebounds, 1 assist, 56% from the field, 36% from three, league average. He shot 2.5 3-point attempts per game, and he played 19 minutes per game. He's a little bit injury prone, like I said. He played 30 games last season, but that means he's going to be cheaper. Now, he's not going to help Denver defensively as a backup center, but he will help offensively. So if you're able to go get Mo Wagner for cheap, if they decline his option, and again, we pray that Saric is not going to take his option at this point. You're able to go get Wagner. You're able to re-sign Russ. You're able to bring in one of those undrafted players maybe, and maybe trade for Herb Jones. Then I think you're a legitimate contender again. Like I said, it all comes down to having a GM, which Denver doesn't have. So let's hope in the next couple of days a GM is named, or Denver's able to rework anything, whether that be with Russ or Saric declining his option, or get into some trade talks. That's what we need. Anyway, that's all I got for you guys today. Make sure you comment down below if you want me to cover anybody. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, leave a comment, and I'll catch you